Hey, how you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Hey, so can we start by, your name's Jake?
Yeah.
Hey, I was just kind of reading through our conversation we had 13 days ago on the YouTube channel, and I just kind of wanted to start by reading what you had posted, if that's all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you had commented, currently in the academy of a major city fire department. Also, currently realizing I may not want to do this job. I have to say, everyone I've talked to has helped me see that it shouldn't matter what I do, just so long as what I do makes me happy. Just go ahead and take it away. Just kind of let me know kind of what your thought process was behind that, what's going on in your life, and kind of what what has influenced you to come to this realization being in the academy right now.
Yeah. So let me think how concisely I can put this. Yeah. So I guess I'll just start from the top. So you know how it is. The hiring process is long, takes forever, stupid. Um, so I had applied to this department right now.
Okay.
Um, and so I got out of college. I went to school here in Indy. Got a degree in fine art actually. And then once I was out in the workforce, was kind of surprised that I didn't get a job right away. And so I was a little disillusioned coming out of school, pretty frustrated with life, not very fulfilled, satisfied because I was working like some real trash, like loading dock type jobs, forklift jobs, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking to a family friend who was my main influence for joining the department. He's been on for, gosh, 32 years or something like that.
Okay.
And he's got nothing negative to say about it. So he really influenced me. And he's just kind of a positive guy. And yeah, he sings its praises all the time. He's like, you should look into the fire department. It's selective, but it's worth a shot if you can get in. Like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And this is back in 2017. Um, so I did that. I didn't get on the first time. I applied to a bunch of different departments. Didn't get on. I got through various parts of the hiring process. And then last year, I reapplied and I got all the way through to I got through the CPAT and I passed the CPAT, but they sent me an email saying, "Hey, congratulations, you passed the CPAT. Unfortunately, you're not moving on." I was like, "Oh, okay." And so it was like about a year ago. Um, and so by that point, I was kind of getting tired of like the rejection of it all, and just kind of getting my hopes up, and then getting kind of crushed a little bit. And so I was like, you know what? I know I'll be on retainer essentially. They're running one class through, and they're going to pick up another class from that same list. And I was like, if I'm picked for that, then great. If not, then I'm moving on. I'm doing something else. I'm just going to forget about it completely. And so that's kind of where I was. And I was in an art job uh, before this. And that job specifically wasn't a good job. But I was kind of doing what I, went to school for, which was gratifying in a way. And then in July of this year, I got the email saying, "Hey, you're moving on to the ladder climb," and then the like medical eval and all that stuff. And so from there, it wasn't 100%, but it's pretty much 100% at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I quit my job, and then I started doing like freelance work, like illustration is basically what I focus in. So I started doing that, and I found out that I really loved doing that. And yeah, so the fire department kind of gave me the opportunity to leave the job that I was in because I was kind of hooked to that consistent paycheck, and I was a little afraid of the unknown to kind of try and make it out on my own. And so I was like, okay, I've got a couple months before the initial start date. So I'll just do it. I'll just go out on my own, do freelance, see if I can make it, that kind of thing. It's only a couple months. It's a good trial period. Uh, so I did, and I wasn't making a whole lot of money, but I was making like enough. And so I found out that I really liked that. And then I was winding that down as I was getting ready for the academy. So the academy started October 25. So I've been in for, I don't know. I don't know how many weeks that is. 7 weeks or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it was going to be I knew it was going to be challenging, and I knew it was going to be a change of what I was used to. So I was trying not to make any judgment calls right away, because that first week really sucked. It was just like, I've never been in the military or anything like that. And this is, it's paramilitary. It's not military, but it, kind of sort of is, structure wise. And so, it's just like a lot of goofy stuff, getting yelled at for not knowing what you're supposed to be doing, even though they never told you what you're supposed to be doing, kind of thing. And just a bunch of goofy stuff. And so that was a big culture shock. And that first week I was, just tied in knots, anxious. So I was like, okay, I don't like this, but it's the first week and I just got to kind of let myself get used to it a little bit. It's like, I don't want to do this right now, but I know how I am with change. Change is always hard for me. So it's like, okay, I just, muscle through it. So as the weeks went on, I started getting more anxious. I started getting more used to it, but at the same time more anxious, because it suddenly dawned on me just how real everything was, which I'm glad I had that realization. But like, real in the sense of, obviously this is a big boy job, I guess, and there's inherent risks with it and all that stuff. And like, it wasn't necessarily the risks that bothered me too much. It was just kind of like realizing what I would have to do on the job. Now, granted, I've been told time and time again that the academy is nothing like what the actual job is like.
Yeah. And
I believe people who say that for sure.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I was just super anxious, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if this is the right fit. So I started talking to people, and I've talked to maybe a dozen and a half people. I know a couple people who are in the fire department, the same department that I'm in right now, who, one is the guy that I mentioned, the other guy who's been in for about 20 years, and he's a legacy. And then there's our captain of the training program. They established like a counselor system for the recruits. So I don't know, like there's like 5 to 7 of us who report to like one specific captain as like a counselor. So like, if you need to something's going on in your life, you need to talk to them, they take off the instructor hat and they put on like the therapist hat or whatever.
Okay.
And so I met with him after I talked to a bunch of people, and I just kind of laid it out. I was like, hey man, I don't know, I'm just having weird realization that like, I know I can do this, and it's challenging for sure. But I'm up for the challenge, like the mental challenge, the physical challenge. But I don't know that like, once I get onto the job, I don't know that I want to deal with the like seeing horrific stuff. And it's not all the time, but I don't know that like, I know I can kind of learn to compartmentalize and do that, the same thing that everybody does, really. I just don't know that, like, if I'm picking my burdens, I don't know if I want that one to be one of my burdens.
Right.
Now, there's a bunch of positives to the job, of course, and like, our department is very proactive on like the peer support system and keeping things confidential and encouraging people to like, have healthy outlets and all that stuff, which is great. But at the same time, it's just like, man, I don't know. It's something to think about for sure. And I don't know. I guess there's some people that get into the job that don't even think about it, and they get on the streets and then they, get burned out super quick because they thought they were going to be fighting fires 90% of the time. And in reality, it's like, 20% of the time or whatever that number ends up being. It seems like a change every time I talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And so, so that was one of the main concerns, was like I said in one of the following comments, is like, I don't know if I really want to have to deal with that. And then on top of that is the sleep issue. Now, there's different ways people figure that out. And I'm sure eventually your body adapts to it. But I also know that, I don't know, I just don't run super well on low sleep, I guess. I guess that's a big stressor for me. So these are just kind of things that are swirling around in my head. And when I talked to the counselor captain, um, he was a really good guy to talk to. He was like, I was in like a similar position that you were in when you joined the department. It's like, you don't know what's going on. You're getting yelled at. You think you're going to throw up because you don't know what's going on. You're just nervous. And he just kind of laid it out for me. He told me a bunch of highs and lows on his job, and he's like, hey, if you want to ask me anything about the job, I'll be completely honest about it. And so I asked him about some of his experiences and how he handled it. And I asked him, it's like, given everything, is all the bad that you experienced worth the good? And he's like, oh yeah, definitely. I'd do it over again. It's like, okay. So I asked that to a couple more firefighters that I knew, and they said the same thing. So it's just weird. Because on one hand, I feel validated for how I feel, like the anxieties that I have. On the other hand, it feels like a hump that I'm not able to really reconcile with, So anyway, like more about me, like I said, I was an artist, or still am an artist, single, no kids, in pretty good shape. So really in the perfect condition to like do this, because I don't have those external like family stressors on me or anything, which is good, because that would be super hard. So there's really two routes I can take, and kind of what I've discovered is there's no real wrong route, just as long as what's right for me is right for me. So I can stick with it, and I can get on the job and really determine if this is what I want to do, or I can leave, and kind of go back to the freelancing thing that I was doing. Now, the downside to sticking with the job is this academy thing is 7 months total or something like that, and it's pretty similar to working out in the sense that like it's a perishable skill, and if you it's like like I said, it's like working out. So if you don't essentially exercise or do your stretching or whatever, do your drawing exercises, you can get really out of shape pretty quickly. Now, it's not a permanent loss for sure. It's part of the sacrifice, I guess, is you can build that back up. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things. Like, I don't know if I want to take that hit, but that's I guess kind of a lesser concern. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's kind of everything out of the nutshell.
So that's kind of where you're at with things right now. You're just kind of sitting there on the fence of deciding, is this something I want to do, or do I want to just pursue my passion, knowing I love, artwork, illustrations, and take that freelancer route?
Yeah. Yep.
So, so financially, so you're saying this academy you're going through is a 7-month deal. So does this mean you're pretty much hired as you complete this 7-month period?
It is, yeah. It's a guarantee.
So just to talk about money, because I'm big on just like laying it out there. A lot of people say, oh, I want to fight fire and I want to do this, I want to do that. But at the end of the day, we all work to make money. So, obviously, are you getting paid right now in the academy?
Yeah. So, I was comparing to other departments, and I guess like one of the top paying, I guess, for the region. And so we're getting paid through the academy. We're getting paid a first year rate, and then, you get a second year and third year bump. But right now, like compared to what I was making when I was not doing freelance and I was on like a company payroll, I'm making just under double right now than what I was making previously.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that has some sort of influence as well, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's it look like? So if you were to step back and you were to take, your freelancer route, what does that look like for you financially and stability wise in your life?
Yeah. So it's definitely not as secure. It doesn't have a pension program and a retirement savings plan and all that stuff. That's a pretty big part of it too, is like there is certainty in sticking with the fire department and having that financial stability. And also being able to add income on top of that, eventually when you get to working on your off days, with the the illustration thing, really your potential to make money is pretty unlimited. It's kind of at the market whim for how you get, clientele and business and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you get a big client, they're pretty consistent. Again, it's not a guarantee. There's potential for me to make more doing what I'm doing now. Not initially. It's more like a long-term investment. I mean, it is kind of like an investment in the sense that like getting started now will have me earning higher sooner than if I were to, even take the 7 months off. So, and it could be that I could just be cutting my teeth for like a year or two if I go the freelance route now, which would be pretty tough, but it's doable. You can make ends meet. The difference being is like that's something that I know that I want to do anyways. I'm doing it anyways in my free time as it is. So it's not. It is work and it isn't work.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's scary. Honestly, that's been kind of what has kept me from leaving right now. Is the financial aspect of it. Pays well, and the benefits are insane. It's just it's kind of a matter of like I don't know if I don't really want to do it, I guess, but like it seems like such a dumb idea to leave because the opportunity is so great.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely honest, and I'm glad you shared that because I know money is a big influence to a lot of what we do and kind of what we kind of sacrifice. And it sounds like you are sacrificing a lot mentally in regards of pursuing this. Now, other people hearing this that have the desire and they know they want to be firefighters. Some may take offense to something like that, but the reality is the people that are for you, for your well-being, and your satisfaction in life are going to agree with you totally. Just to give my 2 cents, and I agree with the firefighters you spoke with. I really don't think any of us are really equipped to deal with what we see. And I talk about it in my videos. I talk about it with my previous students, and it's a big deal. And like I said, I don't think any of us are really equipped to really deal with it. It's just like anything, being athletes, we just kind of adapt. We do our best and we talk and we just, we utilize our family, our outlets to deal with all the traumatic calls that we see and just the stressors of the job. Now, with that being said, me personally, I'm very similar to you. Like I didn't want to see those things. I really didn't want to really partake in that world initially. And then I literally had to do as you're doing as well, is just kind of really think about, where do I see my life? Where can I make the biggest impact while still, fulfilling my own personal goals of, having the camaraderie, getting that brotherhood and sisterhood back, the team atmosphere, like you said, having a sense of security. And the biggest thing for me was obviously finances, but time with my family, and working 10 days a month with my department was like a dream. Like that means I can be with my family 20 days out of the month. That was huge for me. So when they were talking about the pros outweighing the cons, that is so powerful. And I really want you to continue to do what you're doing, keep thinking how you're thinking, because it really is. Yes, we do see a lot of crazy stuff, but for the most part, I don't know about your particular area. I would say like 95% of our calls are EMS calls. A lot of them will be fall injuries. You may get a couple cardiac things here and there, a couple traumas. But for the most part, I mean, I can't speak for every department, and some people do get more than others, but we have resources available to help aid us and our families within those, specific needs or sectors, or, those trauma or stressors in our lives on the job. So just know that, if you do continue to pursue on this route of taking the firefighter route, there's a lot of aid there for you. Like how you said, you do adapt. The sleeping aspect of it, depending on which station you're with and how busy your first due is, I mean, there's really no way around that. As you're kind of like adapting to that work atmosphere, you're still compounding that lack of sleep, that sleep deprivation on yourself. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the inner city stations are super busy. The stations that are on that, like the outskirts of the county, not as much, which makes sense. There's some stations. Gosh, I think there's a couple here that run like 12 or more a night, which is just insane. I don't know how those guys live, honestly.
Yeah,
uh,
seriously.
but and then there's some others that'll get maybe a couple a night, and then every odd night they get like a full night's sleep through the night.
Hmm.
Like you said, it does vary for sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what we get is, I think it's kind of what you said: fall injuries, a lot of cardiac. We get a lot of drug overdoses too.
Oh yeah, ODs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I and I knew our conversation would be good because just how you laid it out on the YouTube channel here, I got it pulled up. Um,
Mhm.
it's I mean, it's honest, it's real, and I think other candidates need to hear this. And I hope you're okay with me sharing this. I think it's super
Oh yeah.
powerful because this is the real stuff. Yeah, we see the glitz and glamours of the job, but it's like, do we really talk about the real stuff enough? And just us having this conversation is pretty powerful. Now, in regards of what we were just talking about, you're asking the right questions. You're doing your due diligence. You're being respectful, which is huge because a lot of people will either just be impulsive and jump out without really taking going through the proper channels. It sounds like you're trying your best to respect where you are, respect those who have come before you, who have paved the way for you, and you're really trying to make sure that you are making the right decision for yourself. And I highly respect that, and I think it's great that you're doing that. Um,
Yeah, I appreciate it.
yeah, just like I told you though, the job, the job is rough. It's rough a lot, and like I said, depending on where you are, it can differ. But for the most part, just the fire service in general can be rough. But the pros heavily outweigh the cons for sure. Um, just think about when you make your final decision before you do it, really map out your life like you are and really think about, okay, when I have a wife, when I have kids, where do I see my life, where do I want my life, and what can help me get to that point? Because you say you want to do freelance work, right? And it sounds like you have a great passion for it, but the beauty
Yeah.
of it is you on the job. What's your schedule out? What do they do?
For the academy or for on
Like
shift?
when you're in the field, what's the shifts like?
It's 24/48, and then we have a Kelly day
Oh,
every
wow.
third week.
That's beautiful. So like look at that
Yeah.
schedule you have, right? And you can still I'm not pressuring you or anything. I'm just trying to help you get, kind of like how those other firefighters do and just kind of educating you on kind of their perspective of it. I'm just giving you mine. So obviously, so say you do get to the point where you like, you know what? I want to do this. I think I can do this. I think this will be fitting for my life, right? So say you do
Mhm.
go through, you have that schedule, you still have the ability on your days off to still fulfill those personal goals that you have, which is beautiful, while
Oh, yeah.
still fulfilling that sense of security for your future family.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, man, that's I don't know, man. I am so glad that you reached out. I mean, surprisingly, dude, I put up all these videos and not too many candidates actually like step out of their comfort zone and reach out when they have questions. Like they'll email me or hit me up on like my other social accounts, and it's like I wish they would just cast their questions like to where everyone can see it. And I love that
Right.
you did that, man.
That's the thing is like that was one of the most oh, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it was frustrating in a sense because like I had all these anxieties about the job, because part of the thing was like, you don't really think about the job because it's such a long process. Like when you're applying, you don't really think
Hmm.
about it because it's such a long process, and it's like one day every month and a half where you have to think about the job, and you're like, well, everybody says they love the job, and meanwhile, like I'll just focus on this for one day every month and a half, and then I'll go back to doing what I'm doing. And so when I guess I didn't think it all the way through by the time I got onto the job, which is why I'm having these anxieties. But the frustrating thing was like I started having these feelings, and then nobody would uh, validate them because all they could say were positive things about the job, which is great and it
Hmm.
says a lot about how the job is. But at the same time, I was like, man, am I a freak or something for like feeling this way?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and I think that's I don't want to say it's a negative of us, but you got to think about like a lot of us that get on, like you said, it's a long process. So we, just like you, we work our butts off for so long
Yeah,
just for like a small window of an opportunity. So it's like when we get on, it's like most of us that don't turn salty, don't turn negative, like we remember what it was like being where you're at or being where other candidates are like when they're testing, and it's like wow, we got it. We got the gold, we got the diamond in the rough. It's like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's easy for us to just talk about the positives, but you're right. I think we all, and there's a lot of resources out there that do talk about, the negatives of the job, but I think it needs to be more put into our open dialogue at all times. Like when we do say, hey, you got to do A, B, and C to get on. Hey, here goes the positives of the job, but then let me tell you the negatives, and it's something that you really need to consider in your life. I think that needs to be spoken more for sure.
yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't. Still, it was like I did my research and everything before I got on. The thing that shocked me the most was like just how different I felt once I got into the training, because I knew all the risks. I knew the cancer risks. I knew the sleep deprivation thing. I knew that like the job was mostly medical calls, which I'm not super interested in. But they tell me that nobody really is except for the paramedics.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Like so, I knew all these things, and then just as soon as I got into the academy, I was like, "Oh crap! Like this is real."
Yeah.
Like I have to face these now.
Right, right. And you know what? You should pat yourself on the back, man. And you sound like a humble guy, so you probably won't. But I want to commend you because you'd be surprised at how many candidates don't actually start thinking about this until like they're on probation, off probation, and have, a couple years into the job. I actually have some candidates and academy brothers and sisters that I've, had the pleasure of working with that have reached out to me when I left the fire service and, kind of was like, hey, why'd you leave? What kind of drove you toward taking that path, and it without telling their information, they were basically talking about like, man, I don't see myself being here doing this, and I don't see myself doing this in the long run. I'm trying to weigh out my options. Those conversations, and just like how we're having in that thought process, I feel like we should educate you guys, sooner in a better manner to where you can really start internalizing that and really thinking about those things before you even, not in a sense waste your time, but, get through all this entire grind, this entire process, and then get into, on the other side like you are. So yeah, I think it's powerful that you're there.
Yeah. If you don't mind my asking, why did you leave?
So mine had nothing to do with the job. My wife and I we're from California, but I moved to Arizona and I was a firefighter in Glendale. My wife was still in school when I left, so we got together. She graduated with her nursing degree from Sac State. And then she was working at UC Davis Medical Center in their burn ICU. So we got together. She moved to Arizona, got a burn ICU job out in county, and we just kind of was living our lives out there. So then we ended up getting married and had a son right away. So we were thinking, yeah, we'll be fine. Her parents are back home, my family's back home in California. We'll travel and do the long distance thing. But then, like as time grew on, I slowly started seeing my wife. She became like unhappy. Obviously she was happy, but I'm saying less happy than she would be. And I started noticing that, and then it gravitated into me, and then it just kind of made me reflect on what was my childhood like growing up, and what did I value and what did I want most as a child. And one big thing for me was obviously my parents, and then family, having that family love and support. So
Yeah.
right then and there, it was 2019. Excuse me, he was born
Yeah.
in 2018, so it was 2019. We had a sit down with her dad and her mom, and they were kind of talking about, they would nudge us like, hey, when you guys going to move back? And I would think like, no way, there's no way I would leave what I worked so hard to achieve. We built a great life out here. But then like
Yeah.
as time grew on, it started kind of creeping in my head. So when I got off probation and I was on the job roving for a while, we had a special ops position that opened up. So I tested, got on, went through technical rescue and hazmat, and
Nice.
when I went through the special ops academy, I was fortunate enough to bid a home at our squad. So pretty much all the people that were at this station, it was 159. They were all 40 plus years old guys. So they had well seasoned guys that been through life and been through a lot. So I was fortunate enough to go there, and man, I'm telling you, every day, like when I was talking about, yeah, I'm gonna go do A, B, and C so I can get ready for this promotional, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna meet with this captain. They would sit me down and be like, hey, at the end of the day, none of this matters. Your family's everything. So like they would just beat that in my head. Like take your butt home, go to mama, go to your kid. And they would just kind of beat that in my head. And then it really made me realize like, okay, I love this job. I love this career. I love where I'm at. I love what I built. But I love my wife and my kids more, and I want my kids to have their grandparents and their aunts and uncles. So how can we make this work? So it all started from there, and then I was thinking, okay, maybe I take the, go through the proper channels, test out and get on an department in California. Obviously, the testing process is forever. My wife and I are super impatient, so we finally came down to the decision that she was going to step up full time as a nurse. Well, she's getting ready to be an RN now, so she's working full time, and now I step back, and now I'm taking care of the kids full time. So I'm a full time dad now, and that's why I left.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, man.
Huh.
Yeah,
That's a
man.
really interesting story too. Just because, like, you do hear, or at least I hear a lot about how good the scheduling and everything is for your family.
Hmm.
But at the same time, it doesn't always work out perfectly, of course. And yeah, I don't know. That's just interesting. It's something, another like dimension to look at.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, and I'm glad you brought up the schedule part of it. So even if we were to stay in Arizona doing what we're doing, the sad part about it is just like any other regular 9 to 5 couple is like we would trade shifts. So when I was off shift, she would go in.
Yeah,
So it really wasn't like, yeah, we had awesome schedules, but it wasn't like we were together as a family, which that's a reality for a lot of people, but that's not something that we wanted in our lives. So outside of
yeah,
that, and then being separated from our family, it was just like a no brainer. It was either I test out and go somewhere else, but we just decided, hey, step back, Markel, which was really hard for me to do. Step back,
yeah.
resign out, and then she took the load, and then yeah, we moved, packed our stuff, and moved.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Um, do you feel like you had? So your wife is a nurse. So I wonder how, like, did you feel like when you had, stresses on the job that you could kind of relate that with your wife? Because I know that some people who like the, some married couples who have totally different jobs, you can't really talk to one. Like the firefighter can't really talk to the spouse about what goes on because they don't understand. Did you like have that problem? Did you not because she was a nurse?
Yeah, you know what? That's they say. Nurses and firefighters, or I guess nurses and public safety people go well together because that they all understand. We're bringing our patients to her. To them.
Yeah.
So it's like the big thing about my wife is I'm not big on talking about what happened at work. I rarely bring up stuff. And I've just never been
Yeah.
that person, but she brings that out of me. So she's big into like, hey, here's my day, here's what happened, and she'll kind of tell me
Mhm.
her stuff. So she's kind of helped mold me into opening up more. So when I was in it, it was good for me because I did de-stress and let her know what was kind of weighing on me and how I felt about things, which was really healthy for us.
Yeah, that's great. That's great that you got to that point.
Yeah.
Because particularly with, I mean, they say the fire service is full of machismo, but particularly with guys in general, I mean, I was the same way up until this like academy process started. I was totally clammed up. I did not really feel like I wanted to share my, and obviously not with calls, but just like stress in general. It's like I didn't really want to share my stress like with my parents or anything like that because it's
Mhm.
like, you guys aren't here, you're not experiencing it, so you don't get it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and I realized how freaking like wound up I was because I was like bottling everything up, and then I just kind of exploded all of a sudden. And I was
Right.
like, oh shit, okay, I need to talk about this stuff more often.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up. And the candidates out there that are gonna know your story in our conversation is like it's super powerful. I can tell you right now. It was about a year and a half ago. A lot of the calls that didn't really bother me when I was on the
Mhm.
job came back to me all of a sudden. It was super weird, something I've never personally experienced before, and it wasn't it took my wife to help me realize that like I actually needed to deal with that more. So like having those things kind of come back, not to be too super graphic, but it and those calls involve minors. So when I had kids, things
Yeah.
changed for me. Like my thought process changed, and even if I like had dreams or something, my mind would go back to what I saw, and it all stemmed back from me not dealing with it. And when we were on the job and we had those calls, we had a chaplain that would come out and help us. We had our captains and our on shifts BCs that would come down and help. And I just really wouldn't talk, and I wish I would have spoke more and expressed my feelings a little more when I was on the job
Yeah.
because maybe it would have helped me mitigate those issues that did kind of come back.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the so my counselor, when I was talking to him, he said the same thing. This is when we were kind of talking about the consequences of the job, really. And he has kids as well. He has 3 kids. And he said, I don't know if this is like 10 years ago or what, there was a call for like a drowning victim in like a retention pond or something like that. So they show up on scene, and it's this kid who drowned. Like, they couldn't resuscitate him or anything, and he was like the same age as his son. And he did his job fine. Like, he did everything he could. They couldn't revive the kid. And he said he got home the next day and he saw his son. He just melted. Like he just lost it. Because the seeing his son reminded him of the kid who passed away and all that stuff. And I was like, man, isn't that super tough to deal with? And he said, yeah, but at the same time, like, it made me appreciate my son a lot more.
Right.
Just how fleeting life is and all that. He's like, you can't really have the good without the bad. In his opinion, he was like, you could have the perfect life and you'd be totally unfulfilled because you've got no challenge or no adversity in your life, and you wouldn't appreciate the things that you do and that you need to. It's like, it's a fair point.
No, absolutely. And he brought up a great point. Those same feelings he had, that's exactly what I experienced. Like, and the crazy thing is like, you don't realize these things until you're like in it, and you start realizing that these grown men and these BA firefighters are actually having these conversations, and it's super powerful. Like, it started getting me thinking about more than just what I experienced on the job and more than what's going on at my current life. Like, it started going back to things that I've experienced as a kid, and I just realized all those things played a role in why I felt the way I felt in those moments where those calls were affecting me. And definitely having kids made it a lot difficult. Like, just let me paint a picture. So, you respond like how he responded on that kid. Like, I responded to a kid that was in a very similar situation. Like, when you see someone else's kid, that's not someone else's kid. You're seeing that can be your child, you know what I'm saying? That could be your baby. So it's like those I mean, I'm not laughing at I'm laughing at just how like how you said how walled off I was. Like, I tried to just be
Yeah.
tough and be numb to it, but it's like no. And it's crazy, like, when you have kids, those barriers come down. Like, those emotions are coming out because that could be your baby, that's somebody's baby. So it's like those are real things, and I'm really glad that you're bringing these points up and you're really thinking about this, because those are things that you will experience, especially when you have your own family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm in a pretty convenient position to be going through this. Like, like if I do pursue it and everything, because I have kind of no dependents at the moment. I have no immediate stressors to worry about. At the same time, like, I hope to have a family someday.
Yeah.
And I hope to have kids and all that stuff. So that's definitely something. I don't know. That it's hard to think about when you're not there, but it's something to think about.
Yeah. No, well, at least you are thinking about it in some sort of capacity, because you'd be surprised at how old are you, Jake?
28.
Okay, so I mean, you're at a prime age. You'd be surprised at how many people, even a lot of my buddies, still aren't even thinking about family and stuff. So it's like you're thinking about all the right things, and it is super important and it's super vital to the health and wellness of your life. Here on out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really appreciated about one of my buddies who's been on for 20 years. He was a legacy, and his dad was just a badass, like just a fire, like firefighter through and through and everything. So he's having to deal with like living up to that name and everything. And he's, according to everybody else I talked to, he's a great firefighter too, which I believe, just from talking to him. And he's like, he told me, he's like, I think leaving right now would be premature because you're not on the job. You're just not there. You're not experiencing what it's really like.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he's like, if this is affecting your mental health that poorly, or if you think it will affect your mental health, then don't do it. Like, you've already got something that you're passionate about. And he's like, to be honest, if I had a passion like yours, before I joined the fire service, even though my dad was on the fire service, I probably would have pursued that passion. So that he was like, he basically was reassuring me that he's like, there's no shame in like not wanting to do it. Which I don't know. It was very relieving to hear him say that, because, and this just kind of circles back to me talking about how much of an opportunity it is.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, man, you're like such an idiot for not wanting to do this, essentially. And he's like, well, I mean, yes and no, but your mental health is more important, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he brought up a lot of good points. And I actually had one of my best friends in the department. He was very concerned about what our lives would look like financially. And he asked me, he's like, hey, why don't you just stay for your 10 years and then you guys make a decision? And I was like, no, man, then my son was going to be, 10 years old and being away from the family that long, I can't have it. And he's like, okay, well, won't you stay for a little longer so you can put some more money away? And then I had to break it down to him. I was like, you know what, man? There's a lot of ways to make money in this life. At the end of the day, what really matters, and I say what really matters is obviously the happiness of my wife and myself, the relationship we have with the man upstairs, and my kids. So
Yeah.
that put him at ease, and it made me feel at ease, that he was at ease. But he was right. He goes, "You're absolutely right. There's a lot of ways to make money in this life." And then I said, now for the fulfillment aspect of it, obviously I'm raising my boys. I'm with my family, right? But other than
Yeah.
that, I have a passion of just helping people. I can still do that, just like I'm doing with this YouTube channel. I'm still making a difference in other people's lives. So I'm still fulfilling what I need.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, that could be you, bro. Like you're gonna make the right decision. You're thinking all the right things, and I'm really curious to see where you take this. I really am.
Yeah. I'll try and keep you updated. That's the thing too about this, is it does kind of feel like a golden handcuff in a way. I also feel like the academy it's particularly hard for me, just because like I don't have time to be a creator, like to be creative. And like I said, it's a perishable skill, so time away from it is kind of soul crushing in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I'm enjoying the camaraderie and everything that we're building among the classmates. I'm starting to make friends and all that stuff. And it's still challenging and everything, particularly getting up, a quarter till 4 in the morning every day to go work out is just rough.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's on rails. I can just kind of sit back and sort of enjoy the ride in a way, and I'll get to the end of the academy and then I'll be in the fire service. So it's really easy to just be like indecisive, I guess, about it, because I don't have to, I'm not trying to be the top of the class. I'm not trying to be a middle performer either. I'm trying to do well. It's not difficult for me to like put forth the effort, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my point is it's easy to not make a decision, and I can just see myself suddenly being at the end of graduation and then being in my probationary year and not having really dealt with these emotions or anything like that. So all that to say, essentially, is I want to make a decision sooner than later. So that way, like I feel more like the decision is mine, rather than just kind of like letting life happen at me.
Absolutely. Wow, man. Wow, that is powerful, bro. And you know what? I really hope, and I'll pray for you, and I really hope that you get to that point for sure, man. Because it sounds like you are completely torn right now, and
Yeah.
I know that can't be good, man. That feeling's got to be so rough.
Oh man. Like, so yeah. Yesterday was Friday. So we're going through EMS right now,
Mm-hmm.
and we just got through respiratory emergencies or something like that. I don't know, we're halfway through the EMS program, and man, the EMS instructors are just dicks. Like, they are not nice people. I mean, I can see, I can see that they like to have fun, and I can see their personalities poking through a little bit, but it just seems like they have a chip on their shoulder, and like they are constantly berating us and telling us how much of a disappointment we are and all this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, man, these weeks are rough. And then our captain came in. So I was pretty sure I was going to leave on Friday. Like I was still, it was just weird. It's like I was still, like I said, I could see myself just sitting back and going through it. There's definitely still positives of it. It's not like I hate it or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just like, maybe this kind of feels right to do. And then they were berating us again on yesterday, and I was just feeling super down. And then they left at the end of the day, and the captain of the training program, my counselor, um, he comes to the front of the class, and he gave us kind of like a history lesson on some of the famous fires in Indianapolis. And he talked about his dad was a legacy, or he is a legacy. His dad was on the department, and he talked about people that he met, and it was just like, he's like, yeah, you guys look like you were really down this morning, so I just kind of wanted to, give you a little encouragement. And I was like, oh God. So I was ready to make the decision, and then he kind of like brings us up a note a little bit, and I'm like, oh great, now I have to wait again because I'm still torn. Yeah, but he's a good guy, and I really appreciated that because it was very much needed.
Right. So, and I know they mentioned this to you, and I just want to just kind of put it out there again is the academy, and I don't know your particular fire department, but the academy is completely different than the field. Yes, you're still going to deal with, some people playing the game a little harder than others. It's rite of passage, all that stuff, yada yada yada, whatever, right? But then again, there are a lot of solid dudes like your captain and your counselor that are out there that's going to be there to support you through probation and everything. And it's the grind. It sounds like you said they're paramilitary, so we weren't as heavy into that style, that structure. So like we didn't do like the saluting and all the steps and all that stuff. Like we didn't do that. But just know that that's just this phase, and obviously they have their reasonings behind it, which is obviously can we trust you? Can you follow directions? All that stuff. So
Yeah.
I just I'm not telling you. I'm recommending that you don't base your decision off of what is. I'm not saying what you're experiencing now. I'm just saying those little monotonous things that you're doing now. It's kind of just there, tradition, rite of passage stuff. It's academy stuff. So really think about all the in-depth things that you've been thinking about, and really let that help guide your decision. Not just this. I'm just gonna say it, the dumb, monotonous stuff, which is obviously important, but I'm just saying it in context to just paint a picture here.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like the guys that I knew before I started, they all told me that essentially they're like, the academy is there for a reason.
Yeah.
This is the only place that you're going to learn that stuff, and just know that it's not the same at all. Like they were like, it's a game. Just play the game. They're going to try and play mind games on you, and they're going to be just miserable. But just know that it's temporary. Like once you're done with academy, you're in. I mean, you have to go through probation, but like you're in the actual job at that point, and like life gets a lot better at that point.
And then go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, and like basically that's it. It's like, that's been helpful to keep in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't bother me as that much, when they're like screaming at us and all this stuff, because I'm like, okay, well, they're just full of themselves. Or, who cares? You know what I mean? And so I'm like, okay, it's temporary. I don't have to see these guys again after I graduate. But at the same time, I'm also like, man, this is taking forever to get through, because, you can tell yourself it's a game all day long, but at the end of the day, it's like, oh, great, we still have 5.5 more months of this.
Yeah, you guys got a brutal setup, man. That's a long. Ours was 12 weeks. That's pretty rough.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
that's the truth is yes, that's temporary. There still will be those people on the department though. There's individuals that I remember to this day that were just straight rude, man, and it's just like, wow, why are you so angry?
Yeah.
I can tell you right now though, life does get better on the job. The more seniority you get, the more established you are, the more you meet everybody, like it gets more fun. It absolutely does. Like I felt like I enjoyed it, going on, my fourth year. Like that's when it became like extra fun because I knew everybody. Everybody knew my reputation. I had a good one. I didn't have to necessarily play the game, which I played the game. That's just the person I am. I'm gonna be that cheesy dude that's running around trying to do stuff. Right? It's rite of passage. But anyways, it gets better over time. It really does.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. Is about the 4-year mark is when people start really enjoying it.
Yeah. Hey, so I wanted to ask you. I hope this isn't our last conversation. You have some powerful stuff, and I'm curious to see where you take this. But I wanted to ask you, if you were to be sitting in front of a group of eager candidates, that are super ambitious about joining the job, like what piece of advice would you give them?
Um, I would tell them to like really do some soul searching uh, ahead of time. Like, make sure this is what you want to do, and make sure you're ready to face the reality of the job. Um, like, take away the element of the academy, because like we've said, it's temporary and it's not the job really. Thankfully, I'm getting paid to go through it, which really helps. Um, but like, eh, I don't know. It just like it's hard to prepare yourself for what the realities of the job. And in my case, it is too, because I'm not doing it. I'm just thinking about doing it. So like, do as much preparation as you can ahead of time, like if that's what you really want to do, and then find people. I feel like most people who get on the department know people who are in a department, but make sure you really like pick their brain about like the pros and the cons. They may not want to talk about the cons, but like try and get something out of them, because it can be really shocking to find out some of the harsher elements of the job if you're not expecting it.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, man, that's great advice. That I'm definitely gonna share this with the community, man. I think it's gonna be super powerful, and I think they're really benefit from it. I appreciate you sharing that, Jake. I mean, that takes a lot to step out of your comfort zone and post that. You know what I'm saying, and have this conversation with me, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you being willing to reach out and have the conversation.
Yeah.
Because man, like I said, I've talked to a dozen and a half people, and every conversation I learned something new. And I mean, really, this is kind of a process of learning to make decisions, I guess, but also just kind of finding out who I am.
Wow.
You always think you know who you are until you get faced with adversity and you find out who you really are.
Amen to that for sure. That's a great point.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, Jake, man, I'll let you go. Appreciate you taking the time to share your story, man, and I appreciate you allowing me to share this. And be sure to keep us posted on how things go. Obviously, you and I are going to be in contact. But yeah, man, I want to wish you the best. We're going to be praying for you, and like I always say, man, like I'm here for you guys. I'm here for you. Reach out if you ever need, to have a conversation, piece of advice. I'll give you my testimony, yada yada yada, all the good stuff. So just know that I'm here
yeah.
for you, man.
I really appreciate it. I'll definitely keep you on the loop. I think I was going to reassess on Monday what I was going to do. If Monday's a really good day, then I'll try and hold myself to making a decision by the end of next week.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be hearing from you then, man.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Good luck, brother.
Cool. Thanks, man.
All right. Bye.
See ya.
So that was just a random community member, Jake, who just reached out and he kind of just shared kind of what he was going through in his particular situation. Obviously, he's already in a fire academy with a career department, getting paid, actively on his way to becoming a sworn firefighter. So as you can see, he brought up a lot of great points of just the struggles and challenges that he's dealing with. And the biggest thing is just mentally, he's thinking like, how do I look throughout doing this career? How do I look throughout this career? Am I still fulfilling my own personal goals? Am I going to be happy? Am I going to be able to deal with the mental and physical stress with the sleep deprivation and the exposures and the call volume and all those different things? Just like I told you in past videos, like it's so important. There's a lot of great benefits to the job. The pros definitely outweigh the cons. Okay, I can't speak for every department in regards of their day-to-day operations, but for the most part, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. But the cons are super powerful, and it's something that you really want to consider and really think about, deeply, just like how you said, really do some soul searching before you really start, taking the steps towards becoming a firefighter. So 100% for sure that this is something that you want to do, because at the end of the day, your time is valuable, the department's time is valuable. And the biggest thing is your health and well being, and especially mentally, is the most important thing ever, okay? You have to be healthy for yourself, for your loved ones, for your family, your wife, kids, husbands, whatever the case is, okay? So really be diligent about thinking about what's important for you. What do you want to achieve in your life? What fulfillment do you need? What's going to keep you happy and healthy and sane throughout your life? And if pursuing a fire career is going to help you achieve all those things, the sense of security, the lifestyle, all those good things, while still dealing with the cons, the good comes with the bad, then take the steps to becoming a firefighter. Just know that there's always support out there. Just like I always tell you, go get a mentor. If I'm not a mentor for you, go out there and get a mentor, rub elbows with other firefighters, other fire candidates, get everybody's testimony, take in what you like, discard what you don't like, and really make your own decision, because it's your destiny, it's your life at the end of the day, okay? Make the right decision for you. I'm always here for you. Don't hesitate to reach out, via emails, other socials, YouTube channel, whatever the case is. I'm here to support you. I'm here to do everything in my power to help you, okay? Like I always tell you, work hard, stay consistent, and I'll catch you in the next one. Good luck, firefighter.